Hi everyone, it's Tina with Picture It Personal Finance, where I ask you to picture your goal, plan to achieve it, and enjoy your success. Today, I want to share with you the 4 biggest money lies that I have heard growing up and in my adulthood, and I really just want to take a moment to explain them to you and why I think they are full of crap. All right, guys. I am fully confident that every one of you has heard every one of these, and I would love to know what other advice you've received. So please comment below and tell me what is some of the worst advice that you've received that you now know is nothing but malarkey. Probably the one that affected me the most and created the greatest burden for me was the one that says student loans are good debt. You guys, student loans are not good debt. The idea behind it is that if you invest in yourself through these student loans enable you to be able to invest in yourself with this great education that ultimately it's good debt because it's an investment in you. And a truer statement would be that education is the investment that you ought to pursue. The student loans that you use to acquire that education are not good debt. Student loans are notoriously terrible debt. There is no collateral, they can't be bankrupted, and they will let you go into deferment for extended periods of time, during which time the interest is accruing, and very few people realize that they should be making, at the minimum, the interest payments on that debt. So not only is it not collateralized and not easy to get rid of, but it continues to grow even when you're not in a financial position to take care of it. And it becomes a truly significant burden for a lot of people. And honestly, I'm worried for all the folks who are in deferment right now because of the CARES Act. I worry that their debt is growing, and if they're not taking precautions, if they're still gainfully employed to keep that debt in track, then I worry about stuff like that. And if that's you, hit me up. I am now available for coaching and I would be happy to serve you. One of the things that I really want to call out with student loan debt is that you don't need to go to a top tier school. Frankly, 29% of individuals who achieve a degree end up not using that degree in their course of business. I'm a great example of this. My degree is in physics and astronomy. I'm so far off that path. I ended up getting a career in IT, and now I've left that career in IT to become a personal finance coach. Why I have an astrophysics degree, I really was fascinated by it at the time, and I don't regret the education that I received, but it absolutely has nothing to do with the interests that I have today, nor the business that I'm running today. Oftentimes, college degrees are indicative of a person's ability to set a long-term goal and achieve that goal. That would be for I would say the majority of us. There are some specialized fields where you absolutely require that degree, but in those fields, often the institution that you receive that degree from is not as important as you might think. I look at my MBA, for example. I spent $60,000, all of it in student loan debt, to acquire an MBA from a top tier school. And I could have gotten a comparable MBA from a lower tier school for $20,000. And the only reason that I went the route I did was pure ego. I wanted to have that sort of name brand school on my resume. I don't lean into that network, and I personally believe that few people do lean into the network. Aside from the close friends and connections they make while they're going through these programs, they don't necessarily lean into the alumni networks, even though that might be available to them. Okay, the next one. Your home is your greatest investment. Oh, people, your home is not an investment. The only way that it would be an investment is if you purchased it with the idea of selling it for a gain, or if you purchased it with the idea of trading it like a bed and breakfast or an Airbnb option. If you are not making money off of your home, if it is not cash flowing for you in some way, it cannot be an investment. That's the whole point of an investment. An investment can be a buy and hold. I do understand that, but at some point, to gain the gain, to actually get the money out of the investment, you'd have to sell it. You can do that with stock. You can do that with investment properties. You can do that with even valuables, jewelry, and vehicles even. If you can purchase something and put a little bit of money into it to fix it up and then sell it later for a gain, that's an investment. If you can purchase something like a mutual fund or a stock and receive a dividend out of that, that's an investment. Do you see what I'm saying here? For it to be an investment, you need to be getting money out of it. Most people don't get money out of their home. The next one is that debt makes you hungry for success. Now, for those of you who found me because you are burdened by debt right now and you do have the mentality of that gazelle intensity and you are looking to hustle and grind your way out of your debt, okay, debt really can give you some hunger for success. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about people who truly encourage you to take on debt so that you become burdened with the mentality of feeling so uncomfortable, but you have no option but to work harder, work longer, work more intensely. When we were shopping for houses in Colorado, a person who was a mentor type individual for my husband gave us that exact advice. He told us to buy a bigger house that was just outside of our comfort zone so that we would feel compelled to work harder and lean into our careers more. And we did not follow his advice, and I am so grateful that we didn't. I want to say at the time we were approved for maybe $350,000, and we ended up buying a $260,000 house. And I have to tell you, that was the way I would recommend anybody do it. Buy less than what you're approved for. Don't overextend yourself. We had been house poor in the past, and being house poor sucks. I don't want anybody to have to deal with that because you live on such a tight budget that you kind of become miserable. You can't have the vacations and the entertainment that you want that makes life more satisfactory. And therefore, it becomes, I think, a true dampening effect on how much you appreciate life. So I would rather have less and have more financial freedom than have more and feel burdened by the need to either afford the payments for those things or the maintenance of those things. And then lastly, and this goes hand in hand with the idea of having to sacrifice or live on a really tight budget, but this idea of the Latte Effect. I believe it came out of The Millionaire Next Door, or maybe there was another person who wrote a book, but the idea is this, that if you skip your latte or if you cancel a few subscriptions, that's going to be enough to make you wealthy. And when you're trying to get out of debt, I'm all for moments of intensity or sprints. And even after you're out of debt, you might have a sprint for something else. You might have a sprint to save for a new car or save for a very grandiose vacation. That's great. And if you have opportunities to skip these type of things for an interim or for a sprint period of time, I fully support that. I think that's healthy and it's a form of self-denial that works toward a greater good. However, if you take on this mentality that, well, if I just skip my latte for the rest of my life, well, I'm just going to make so much more, I'm just going to save so much money, I'm going to become rich. But that's not true. And the reason it's not true is it doesn't serve you unless you're investing that money. You need to pay yourself first and put that money into investments so that it can grow. That's how you gain wealth. That's how you become a true millionaire. Pay yourself first and let that grow, not tighten the belt and then hang on to that cash. Penny pinching's not going to get you anywhere unless it's for a sprint and a very specific goal for a very specific duration of time. If you become a miser and stay a miser, all sense of gratitude and contentment is going to be lost from your life. And I'm one of those people that I do believe in the practicality of things, but I also believe in the metaphysical aspect of things. And I think if you become that person where you never allow yourself to have any entertainment or any fun and you penny pinch, that you will create a mental barrier to true wealth, because you are kind of acting in contradiction of what true wealth is. The reason people want to be wealthy is so that they can have financial security and financial independence. You celebrate that independence by being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it, give how you want to give. If you become a penny pincher, you'll find that it's much more difficult to give to others. It's much more difficult to appreciate the things you do have. And ultimately, you will create a limiting belief that prohibits you from experiencing the type of wealth that most of us crave. So, with that all being said, those are my 4 money lies, aka advice, that I have received throughout my life and I think is still very pervasive. Again, I would love to hear if any of you have come up with myths or advice that you've received. I want to know what you were told that had turned into a total, yeah, don't believe it because it's going to hurt you and you're not going to be happy you followed that advice. Or if you even got some advice that ended up really paying out for you in the end. Leave it in the comments below. Love to hear from you, and I will see you all in the next video.